talking of touring, I mean, you must have some great touring stories, Tony. I know the idea is that what happens on tour stays on tour, but maybe you could reveal a few things.
Oh, yeah. Well, I tell you, one of the funniest tour, well, it wasn't a tour. I looked after Pat Travers. And they were doing supporting, I think it was Journey at the Apollo in Manchester. And I went up and we went back to the Piccadilly after, which I'd been there at least 4 or 5 times that year with different bands. And I knew the night porter. And he looked at me and I said, no, don't worry about it. It'll be cool. And I went in the toilet and I'd never seen so much marching powder in my life. It was on the sinks, on the toilets. And it was what I have to say that I sort of said, I saw this and I thought, okay, this is not for me. You know, I mean, I like a drink. And I remember sitting there and they got absolutely out of their trees. I've also remember, I think Pat Travers got off with the lead singer's wife, or there was some shenanigans the next day. I think they might have broken off the tour. Terrible.
Well, I recall that one story I remember is that we were reaching the end of our 3 months with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and Tom was hardly there. He would turn up at the last minute and get changed and go on stage and do a great show, and then he would just kind of vanish. There'll be a couple of days off, and one time he lost his voice, which is fair enough. But I found out it's because he was in court in New York a lot of the time, trying to get out of his shelter deal. Is it Denny Cordell, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
And he worked really hard, and it was the Damn the Torpedoes tour, and he. So I found out that was the reason he didn't do it. And on our final night of the tour, we were in California. It was not, is it San Fernando, San something? Anyway, it was a big room, and we come out opening with our 45, 50 minute set. And halfway through, I noticed the audience are all roaring with laughter, you know. And I'm thinking, well, I haven't done any funny stuff this time, you know, what's going on? And I turned around and Tom is on the stage behind us, sweeping it, wearing a bright yellow Devo suit that they gave him from the previous tour. And I thought, you're all right. You know, he had a really good sense of humor. Top man.
Yeah, much missed, I know.
I have remembered one story that I had to take a journalist to America to see Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. And I mean, I have to say this, he is the one person that if I never see him again, it'll be
too soon.
It'll be far too soon. And the gig was at Bridgeport, so we're there for a couple of days, and then we get taken down to Bridgeport. And we're standing around and he hasn't shown, which is fairly normal. And his manager comes up and said, well, Richie's not going to show. And I said, well, what's the problem? Oh, this, that, and the other. And he moaned. Then I find out that I think Tom Petty was on. He felt he should have been higher up the bill. And I said, well, he can't, because I can't remember who headlined, but Tom Petty was second. I said, they're not as big. They're just not as big. So I said, you know, what's going to happen? And we ended up having to stay an extra 4 days and going to see a gig in Philadelphia. And the young lady that had to interview him, obviously not only didn't like him, but didn't particularly care for the music. And we'd been out the night before and we got absolutely legless. And the American press officer, she was rather loose with what she was saying. But I thought, well, you know, with most journalists, they're not gonna say anything. And one of the things that this girl mentioned was that Richie had a dose about 57 times. Because he liked a lady or three. So anyway, we get to the gig, and afterwards we go back to the hotel, and she's going to do an interview. This is midnight. So Richie comes in, and he's got a girl with him. and she was good looking. I mean, he likes them with, how can I say, arthritis. And he went upstairs, that was it. So we're sitting down for an hour. And he comes down, she goes across to interview him. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, well, it seems to be going okay. I'm drinking, and then suddenly she comes back and she puts her cassette machine down. I said, is everything okay? She said, yeah. So the next minute, she goes to the toilet, and I see these two security guys follow her into the ladies' toilet, and then she comes out, and I said, yeah, what's happening? She said, they took the tape of the interview. And I said, what? She said, I don't know. And I thought, shit, what's going to happen now? And it turned out that her first question was, what's it like to have had a dose 57 times? That was at the opening statement. And after that, it just went downhill. Now, this was sounds, I think. We were promised the front page and the middle page spread. Well, when it came out, we got the front page, but the middle page spread was about half a page. I was asked to kindly leave the stage after that.
I thought that it was Hines who. I thought Hines was the one who had it 57 times.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, it's, Richie Blackmore at the Marquee. Did he ever appear?
I don't think I ever put him on. I think he came. Somebody was telling me the other day he came down and he was watching. He was watching Hustler, a band called Hustler from Scotland, and he'd come down to check the band out because he was putting Rainbow together, and I think Jimmy McBain was the bass player or something in the band, and he approached him after the show. He agreed to join Rainbow, and that was the end of Hustler. I'm about to interview the guys out of Hustler. They're still around somewhere, so I'll find out about that. But no, he didn't. But I do have a Keith Moon story, if anyone's interested.
Oh, we love a Keith Moon story, yeah.
I mean, everyone's probably got a Keith Moon and a Lemmy story, haven't they? I found out this recently from Ully, my predecessor, who, when he started at the Marquee in about 73 as a cloakroom attendant, taken on by Jack Barry. One night, Keith Moon rocked up with a fish, a dead fish, big fish, with a dog lead and a leash around its neck. So he's walked into the Marquee with this fish, or he's dragged it along the ground or whatever. And so he's been stopped at the door, and it's like, well, you can't come in here with a fucking dead fish, for Christ's sake. So the bit of kerfuffle at the front door. Oh, darling, don't you know who I am? It's kind of Keith Moon kind of thing went off. Anyway, he was insisted that he check the fish into the cloakroom. So all he had to take the fish, put it in the cloakroom, and while he went up to the bar, and the backstory to that was Moon had been in a couple of nights before, chatted up one of our bar staff, a blonde-haired girl, and taken her home, and, you know, one thing leads to another and what have you. And he'd come back for whatever reason with a dead fish, and he slap her around the face with it.
As you do.
As you do. So he was a bit nonplussed, and he had to check the fish at the door. He went to the bar. The girl, in the meantime, had her hair dyed black. He stood next to her. He knew who she was, in spite of the hair, and proceeded to say, "Where's that fucking lovely girl that I shagged the other night?" In the front bar. And I'm not quite sure what happened after that, but he left soon afterwards, went back, not sure if he took the fish, and shot up the road to the ship, no doubt.
And of course, there's the plaque to Keith Moon, the blue plaque.
The only one.
In
I mean,
Water Street.
It's the only plaque. It's ridiculous, and there's no plaque to the Marquee.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that. Why was he singled out as being one of the people who played there?
Who's in charge of plaques?
There's no plaque for the Marquee.
There's no. If you go to the Marquee site, the arch, if you recall, there was an arch with some round tiles on it.
Yeah.
Part of that is still there, and there's one blue plaque up there for Keith Moon, but nobody else.
But
It
not for the
mentions it, I
club.
think. It says, yeah, Keith Moon from The Who played here.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, all the other bands, you know, your Stones and the actual Who and the diddle down through the years, nothing.
Well, the Marquee is a standalone brand, isn't it?
Yeah,
You'd think everyone in the world knows the Marquee.